Hello and welcome to the lesson. In our today's session, we are going to study memorandum, and we will define memorandum. We will study the purposes of writing memorandums or memos. Then we will see how the memorandum is structured. We'll study the various parts of a memorandum. Now, candidates, a memorandum is a short piece of writing that is used by an officer of an organization to communicate within the organization. It is an internal communication that an officer uses to communicate within the organization. Now, a memorandum, candidates, I can also say, is used for internal communication between executives and subordinates. It is never sent outside the organization. It's an internal communication that executives use to communicate with subordinates. So the question we want to answer here is, what is the purpose of writing memorandums? Purpose. What is the purpose of writing memorandums? Number one, candidates, is for conveying messages. One purpose is conveying messages internally. We've said executives use memorandums to communicate with their subordinates. So one purpose is to convey messages. For conveying messages or scheduling messages and so on. Memorandums can also be used to submit periodical reports, submitting memorandums can be used to submit periodical reports. Memorandums can also be used to communicate changes in the organization, to communicate memorandums can be used to communicate changes in an organization. Memorandums can also be used to issue instructions. An executive can use a memorandum to issue instructions to the staff or to subordinates. Number 5 is conveying a decision. Conveying a decision that is made within the company can also be another purpose. Conveying decisions. If a decision is made within the company and that decision has to be communicated to the staff, then memorandum can be used to convey such decisions. Writing suggestions, number 6. Writing suggestions. Writing suggestions. Memorandums can be used for writing suggestions. We can also say that memorandums are used for asking certain questions or asking certain special information where the executives need certain special information, then they can use memorandum to communicate such a message. These are some of the purposes of using memorandum to communicate within an organization. Now, what are the advantages? Advantages of memorandums. Advantages. Now, candidates, one advantage is related to cost. Memorandums are inexpensive. Inexpensive. They are not expensive because it can be handwritten and circulated within the organization. It can be typed and circulated within the organization without incurring much cost. It is an inexpensive means of communication. Another advantage is related to convenience. Convenient. 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 It is convenient to write and read a memo as all heading like data, a person, and usually and such are usually printed on standardized forms. All right? It's a very convenient way of communicating because it may take a standard form. Number 3, future reference. Future reference. Now, memos are usually stored in office files or computer files, and as such, they can be used for future reference. Speed. Speed is another advantage. Memos are usually quick to write and to circulate. Five, accountability. Accountability. Now, candidates, as memos are records of facts and decisions, they establish accountability, and therefore, some organizations prefer to use memos even for small events, and then request for telephone or verbal communication. So memos can be used to fix accountability. So these are some of the advantages of memos. We discussed the main parts of a memo. Main parts of a memo. Now, a memo has, number 1, heading. A memo has to have a title or a heading, and that includes the name of the company, its logo, and the word memorandum in capital letters. The word memorandum should be written across the page. And there has to be words to and from, and also the date. To, the one who the memo is addressed to, and from, the one who writes the memo. So that is the heading. Then number 2, the second part of a memo is a subject. The subject. The subject. Now, a subject is a brief statement on what the memo is about. And the subject helps the reader to prepare for the content, and it also assists in filing the correspondence for future reference. The subject. Then there is 3, the message or the body. The body or the message. The body or the message. Now, memos represent the main idea in the first paragraph, and the details follow thereafter. So the conclusion, candidates, may be a suggestion for future action, or a request for guidance on some matter and such like. So memos may be written to persuade, for example, members in a given organization to take a specified action, or memos can also convey bad news to members in the organization, and so on. I can also say that memos are a popular form of written downward communication between managers and the subordinates. So these are the three main parts of a memo, and I'm going to show you an example of a memo on your screen. You can see a memo there on your screen. You can see we have the heading where the memo is, we write the memo. Memo 2, you can see memo from. That memo also has a subject, a body, and a message. So that is an example of a memo on your screen. So candidates, that will mark the end of today's lesson. We have discussed a memorandum as a form of a written downward communication between managers and subordinates. We've said that memos serve different purposes, like conveying messages internally, submitting periodical reports. They can be used to communicate changes in an organization, for issuing instructions. I've also said for memos can be used to communicate message to subordinates, can be good message or bad message, all right? Bad news can be communicated through memos. You can also have memos being used to convey decisions, for issuing instructions, and so on. In this lesson, we have also discussed the advantages of using memos. We've said that memos are inexpensive, they are convenient, they can be used for future reference, they can be issued quickly, and also they can be used to fix accountability. So thank you for attending today's lesson. I hope to meet you in our next session where we learn more in regard to the topic writing skills. Bye-bye.